The story of Erwin Smith, a character which represents true will and leadership. He's the commander of the Survey Corps and the man who inspired us all to dedicate our hearts. This short analysis will focus on Erwin's story throughout Attack on Titan, and will attempt to better explain why Erwin is a unique example of what everyone values in the world of Attack on Titan. Commander of the Scout Legion, we first meet Erwin Smith in Season 1, riding through the district of Shiganshina with his comrades as they carried their dead with them. Erwin is not yet the commander in this particular scene, and goes on to accept the position after the previous commander, Keith Shadis, decides that he was no longer fit for the job. Erwin's character throughout Season 1 is almost instantly likable. His charisma, charming personality, and the way he inspires others all suggest that he was indeed a true-born leader. He seemed destined and plans everything ahead, considering his actions carefully and doing everything he can to unravel the truth behind the Titans. In a way, this is Erwin's character motivation throughout the 3 seasons he is featured in, not wanting to simply sit and do nothing. He opts for a more direct approach, believing the future of humanity to be within the action he and his comrades take. An important factor in order to understand him further is how he seems calm and collected while he is faced with Eren for the first time, ignoring the fear and irrationalities that any other man would have when faced with a young man with the ability to turn into a Titan. Erwin instead accepts Eren into his own unit, trusting and believing him to be an asset instead of a threat. Erwin's judgment is perhaps his greatest trait as the commander. He effectively sees everyone's potential and does what's necessary to make them achieve that. An example of this is how he managed to turn a criminal from the underworld, Levi Ackerman, to change his viewpoint and become something far more than what he was, and it's because of Erwin that he abandons his life of crime and begins a new chapter, becoming humanity's greatest soldier while only believing in Erwin. He's not one to be commanded and ordered by anyone, yet Erwin's influence on him brings out Levi's better qualities, his compassion and care for his fellow comrades. Erwin's character inspires countless other characters and even the viewers to some extent, with his famous words "dedicate your hearts" becoming one of the stable lines of the show and beloved by fans everywhere. Another quality Erwin has as a leader is his cunning planning. This is witnessed throughout all of Season 1 as Erwin gradually suspects that enemy units and shifters reside within them, planning to root them out. Erwin partakes on a scouting mission which on the surface is an ordinary routine, with the intentions behind it being to set Eren as bait and discover the identities of the enemy soldiers in their ranks. His brilliance really shines here as we slowly watch the characters get confused by how the mission carries out. Erwin first spreads different information regarding Eren's location, knowing full well that anyone wanting to take him out would be exposed and lured directly into the trap he himself sets in the trees beyond Wall Rose. This plan works exactly as intended as one of the enemy shifters, the female Titan, reveals herself, massacring everyone in her path, pursuing Eren. Erwin, who has anticipated this, places Eren in the company of his best men, the Levi squad, trusting Levi to protect Eren. This ultimately leads to them capturing the female Titan, only losing their plan after she does something none of them had thought was possible. Yet even despite this, we can still see Erwin's level-headed thought process, not getting emotional as anyone would and deciding to retreat and not lose more than they had. It's an important trait for any leader and showcases just how much experience he has, even with the female managing to escape their grasp. Erwin once more anticipates her next moves once everyone learns that the female is indeed Annie Lionheart, a military police soldier stationed in the district of Tross. Here yet again we see how he plans everything to the smallest detail, sending Eren and his comrades to peacefully contain Annie, but also setting up another trap on her way in case things went wrong once more. By the end of the season, it's thanks to Erwin's efforts and the help from Eren that Annie is finally captured. And despite all of the other leaders doubting his actions, Erwin shows his true determination as he states that they are now one step closer to the truth, believing their sacrifices to be worth it. The scene alone shows why Erwin is so effective in his role, a man not pushed back by missteps or mistakes, one who remains on his course no matter what, embodying a soldier and a leader. Sacrifices. The Season 2 of Attack on Titan focuses on the storyline with Historia and the rest as they fight to survive a sudden Titan attack from within the walls. Despite not being featured for most of the episode, it's still Erwin who puts things into motion, sending units and aiming to figure out the secrets of the Titans that have just been discovered in the very walls that are meant for their protections. Erwin himself becomes a pivotal point of the season as he single-handedly plans Eren's rescue after he gets abducted by the armored and colossal Titans. Here we see another part of Erwin's character, his willingness to sacrifice for a greater cause. He plans everything ahead as he brings units from other divisions, namely the military police, to lead a rescue operation. With this, he manages to take Reiner and Berthold by surprise, as they in fact couldn't anticipate how fast and imminent he managed to reach them. With his famous formation, Erwin charges into the forest, where they witness the armored titan fleeing the scene with Eren in his possession. In this moment, Erwin makes the decision that undoubtedly saved Eren and all of their lives by using the military soldiers at his command to lure the titans. It's a display of intense will as he circles the armored titan with countless other titans at his back, charging full speed, leading him towards Reiner. It's this very action that manages to stop Reiner and buys the Survey Corp enough time to save Eren from Reiner's grasp. This is very important to understand Erwin's general ideology. He believes in the bigger picture, thinking of Eren as humanity's last hope. Knowing full well that without him they would be back where they started, he is in fact fully devoted to finding out the truth, and seeing as how Eren is the key to that. He does everything in his power to keep him from death. Although it may sound selfish that he would do it all to figure the truth himself, it's actually the exact opposite, as even though Erwin is driven by a selfish goal, he ultimately is willing to sacrifice himself for humanity. This is clear in the next scene as he once more gives an inspiring speech, convincing all around him to dedicate their hearts and march forward. What comes next is probably one of the single best scenes in all of the season, as Erwin's arm is grabbed by a titan, yet without a shred of worry or fear, he shouts for them to advance.
I said advance, goddammit! Eren's right in front of you! Do not falter!
It's a powerful scene, one which clearly showcases that he is truly a man believing in his cause. Erwin is basically the MVP of the battle, as he even manages to be the one to finally free Eren from Reiner, having only one arm yet still doing the impossible. Another noteworthy scene which happens a bit later is when Erwin states that they should not waste their time on someone who is replaceable. This is crucial to understanding that he truly doesn't care for his own well-being, only striving for humanity to learn the truth and gain their freedom from the Titans. The season ends similarly, with Erwin smiling, understanding that they are yet again a step closer to everything, setting up his arc to be one of, if not the most shattering moments in Season 3. Legacy. The final chapter of Erwin's story is perhaps the one which gives the most information about who he is as a person and his backstory. The season opens with the plot against the Survey Corp by the rulers inside the walls, a corrupted group of nobles and the rich whom had imposed their rule by putting an imposter king on the throne. It evidently turns into a war between the Survey Corps and the military police as Levi and his men escape the city, turning into rogues in the eyes of the people. Erwin, who knows of this from his comrades, plans a gamble. Taking risks is part of Erwin's internal judgment and one of the ways he chooses to go about his plans. The gamble he partakes could even lead to his own death. Yet, it ultimately pays off, and together with Commander Pixis, they stage a coup, overthrowing the corrupt rule of the imposter king and establishing a new order revolved around the truth. Observing his actions throughout this season, it's clear that Erwin's entire motive stems from his father's death. As a teacher, Erwin's father was the one who suggested the idea of a world existing beyond their dreams to him at a young age. This leads to him being intrigued about the idea, to share it with his fellow friends and classmates, ultimately causing his father's death, as the higher-ups in fact did not want him spreading the information to more people. This becomes the focal point of Erwin's goals as he sets his eyes on the truth, going as far as his recent actions in order to achieve that goal. He even realizes this as he begins to doubt himself for a moment, wondering whether everyone would be more safe with the new system they had brought up. Quickly, however, he gets back in course, dealing with the matters and saving Eren once more from Rod Rice. The midpoint of the season sees Erwin assembling his soldiers to stop Rod's massive abnormal titan, successfully making it for Historia to take her place as the new queen in the end, and begging perhaps the most difficult challenge humanity as he knows it have ever faced: retaking Wall Maria. The mission to retake Wall Maria is one which symbolizes true dedication. It's a monumental arc that sees tragedy, success, pain, and an overall mix of them. We watch as Erwin and perhaps the last of the Survey Corps partake in the mission to save humanity. Erwin's actions before and during the mission is especially interesting as he insists on participating, even admitting that he cared for finding the truth more than anything else to Levi, the same goal he had always had, wanting to see the cellar Eren talked of with his own eyes. His decision proves to be crucial as when the Survey Corps finally reach Wall Maria, they find themselves cornered by the Beast Titan and the other enemies that had returned for a final showdown. In the struggle, Erwin evaluates quickly that should the battle continue, his entire force would be eradicated. Thus, sticking to his principles, he speaks to Levi once last time, telling him what he planned to do in order for them to gain the upper hand. Trusting in him one last time to carry out his order, Erwin's plan is but the only factor that can allow them to finish the mission, to charge against all of their enemies. He gathers the remaining soldiers while he gives his last speech. It's a heartbreaking moment as we see the commander of Survey Corps asks the soldiers to lay down their lives and die for the cause.
My soldiers push forward! My soldiers scream out! My soldiers rage!
He saves the mission once more, leading hundreds to their deaths yet taking down their enemies with them. Erwin's final moments are further saddening as his fate is given to Levi, faced with a difficult decision. Levi watches as both Armin and Erwin lay in front of him with only a single serum to save one of them. It's a clear option at first, yet Levi realizes something just then, watching Erwin finally at peace, free from the burden he carried, the guilt and the weight he had on his shoulders. It's ultimately for that decision which he chooses to let Erwin rest, bidding him farewell as he gives the serum to Armin, saving him instead. Erwin in the end has a tragic finale. He never got to see what he strived for, the truth he sought. Instead, he dies alongside his soldiers, giving his own life as his last sacrifice, letting go of his own dream to let others achieve theirs. His legacy is what remains with the rest of the characters after his death. They opt to follow his example, dedicating their hearts to the cause to the last. What's clear from his arc is that he was not a perfect person, yet he led to the best of his ability, allowing our character to progress through the hard decisions he had to make, giving everything he had to the cause truly and fully. And for that reason, he's a character the fans will remember forever as the charismatic commander of the Survey Corps.